My sister hid a secret from us, and to keep it a secret, she went as far as insulting her best friend. About a year ago, my sister Anne appointed me as her maid of honor, which struck me as odd since she had always promised her best friend Ruby that honor. Throughout the wedding planning, people kept asking Anne about this, but she remained silent. On the big day, Ruby was there, but at the back, wearing an eccentric dress. Given her usual crazy fashion sense, her attire didn't garner much attention. However, Anne felt overshadowed and planned to spill champagne on Ruby's dress. I caught her and tried to talk her out of it, but she started screaming. The entire audience turned towards us, and I told Anne to either stop screaming and embarrassing herself, or I would leave. She went red, stopped yelling, and excused herself to the bathroom. The rest of the wedding was awkward, and there was a sour taste in the air. Despite everything, I didn't speak to Ruby. Since the wedding, Anne has been cursing Ruby and declaring their friendship over. Surprisingly, she hasn't blamed me at all, but has shifted all the blame onto Ruby. One day, after another of Anne's tirades against Ruby, I snapped. I told her that she had known Ruby for most of her life and should have expected her choice of dress. If it was such a problem, Anne should have communicated with her or made her a bridesmaid. Anne lost it with me, sending Ruby horrible messages and screaming at me with nasty remarks. The next day, Anne was silent towards me, but bad-mouthed me to our dad, who sided with her. My mom told Anne to apologize to Ruby for the messages and for yelling at me. But Anne isn't speaking to her either. Ruby insists they didn't argue before the engagement, but Anne says it's none of my business and that I should support her as my real sister. My dad agrees, and Anne has turned the other bridesmaids against me. I don't know what to do. Update 1. I wanted to tell Anne how much she means to me, but she seemed in a foul mood, so I didn't. Anne's husband Dave asked me to talk to her since they had a massive fight after he defended Ruby on the wedding night. He was at a loss and wanted my help. I said I was just as confused and suggested he talk it out with Anne. Dave then revealed that the reason Ruby wasn't in either wedding party was that he wanted her as his best woman, but Anne insisted she not be included. If they had fought about this, Ruby would remember. Also, I didn't understand why Dave wanted Ruby as his best woman since he only met her after dating Anne. The more I think about it, the more confused I get. Update 2. Dave called me, angry, asking if any of his groomsmen had behaved inappropriately towards me. I could hear Anne shouting in the background. I assured him they were perfect gentlemen. He then asked if Ruby knew she was supposed to be the best woman. I said I didn't think so and suggested he ask her himself. He laughed and hung up. Ruby texted me, asking if I knew about the best woman and maid of honor thing. Then, one of the bridesmaids messaged me, saying not to answer Dave's calls. Anne is screaming at our dad on the phone, and I have no clue what's going on, but I think the truth is about to surface. Update 3. Everything has been exposed. Anne has been lying to everyone. It turns out Dave has been to jail and is an ex-substance addict. He met Ruby before Anne, and Ruby helped him a lot when he was struggling. He considers her a close friend. Ruby introduced Dave to Anne after he was stable. Anne was reluctant to date Dave because of his past, but had strong feelings for him. She was ashamed of his past and lied to us about how they met, saying it was through a dating app. Dave wanted to be honest, but Anne wrote him a fake letter from our family expressing acceptance. She told Ruby that our parents reacted badly, so Ruby never brought it up. When Dave proposed, Anne panicked about the wedding. She didn't want to expose her lies, so she concocted a story to exclude Ruby from both wedding parties. She lied to Dave and Ruby, creating conflict where there was none. She also lied to the bridesmaids, painting Ruby as a troublemaker. At the wedding, Anne tried to discredit Ruby further. After the wedding, Anne had a meltdown about Ruby's dress to convince everyone that Ruby was trying to upstage her. My dad immediately sided with Anne. If my mom and I had done the same, Anne would have cut Ruby out of our lives. Anne tried to create conflict between Dave and his groomsmen by accusing them of inappropriate behavior. Dave smelled a rat and started asking questions. When the bridesmaid stories didn't add up, he confronted Anne. She broke down and confessed everything. Dave was furious and texted us about his past, then kicked Anne out. Anne had to explain everything to us. She's absolutely shaken, and I never thought she was capable of such manipulation. My mom is furious, and my dad is shocked and hurt. Anne texted Ruby to apologize, but Ruby is angry and upset. Dave told me he treasured the fake letter from our family and is crushed by Anne's deception. He's asked for distance from our family, and I understand why. I don't know if he'll ever want to be with Anne again. Update 4. The past 2 weeks have been very stressful. Anne and my mom have been fighting and crying constantly. We've learned that Anne's obsession with her perfect image goes back a long time. She confessed to having a mentally challenged person fired from her job because she didn't want them ruining her department's image. I feel distant from the person she has become, and there's tension between us that might never go away, which pains me because she's my sister. My dad decided Anne should see a therapist, and after a massive fight she agreed. The therapist is supposed to help Anne process her emotions and get to the root of her problem. I suggested family therapy, and my parents are looking into it. We hope to learn more about boundaries and eventually move on. Anne has been talking a lot to Ruby, who is still upset. I'm leaving their relationship alone. Dave sent a message 2 days ago saying he doesn't want to stay married to Anne. He's seeking therapy and has a strong support system. Knowing he's okay makes me feel a little better. Anne took the news badly, had a panic attack, and is furious with Ruby for telling Dave about her past. She's preoccupied with the thought of being divorced as much as with losing Dave. I hope the therapist helps her, and I feel guilty for not noticing her issues sooner.